Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CX Live Dialogues. I'm delighted to have with us today Andy Rangel, the CEO, Malaysia and Thailand for TP. Andy is a transformation-focused business leader with more than 25 years of experience in the business process services industry across Asia Pacific, North America, and Latin America. As CEO of TP Malaysia and Thailand, he leads large-scale operations at the intersection of customer experience, technology, and people, driving growth through automation, advanced analytics, and AI-enabled delivery. With a pragmatic and responsible approach to AI adoption, Andy focuses on translating technology into measurable business value, scaling what works, strengthening decision-making through analytics, and developing future-ready leadership in an increasingly AI-driven CX landscape. Welcome, Andy. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about TP and to continue our journey forward with AI.
Indeed. Now, Andy, to start with, TP Malaysia has grown into one of the region's leading CX hubs. How is AI changing what you're able to do and deliver for clients, and what does that look like in practice?
Thank you for the question. So I think we've all recognized that AI has literally changed everything around us, but not always in the way that a lot of people expect. It hasn't replaced the BPO, but what it has done is raise the ceiling on what's possible. And let me give a little bit of context around that. So TP in Malaysia, we have a multilingual operation across dozens of languages, serving global brands across industries that vary widely. So the volume and variety of interactions we handle every day is significant, enormous. And I think what AI has done has given us the ability to see across all of that in real time and frankly act on what we see in ways that weren't possible before. From a TP point of view, we also think about AI differently. I think many conversations about AI start about cost reduction. What can we automate? What can we cut? What are the gaps that we can improve? And I think those are all important. But at the end of the day, you also want to have a slightly different point of view. Where is the opportunity? So what value is being lost? Where is loyalty being decided? Where is revenue being left on the table? And when we talk about opportunity AI, it's not always a cost play. And frankly, in many cases, it's a growth lens. And I think that's where opportunity AI works across every interaction. It allows us to understand what our customers are saying, how are they saying it. It allows us to identify both intent and sentiment in real time, and then allows us to make a decision. Can this be resolved using AI? Should this be hybrid, AI and people? Or is this something that we need a person to take full ownership on? Those decisions happen extremely quickly, in seconds, at scale, across multiple channels. So I think in practice, what our clients see is resolution rates going up, handle time going down, CSAT improving. But at the same time, we're using AI, we have the ability to see revenue opportunities that may not have been captured by an individual agent. And we see that at scale automatically. And I think that's a surprise to many clients. They come to us looking for efficiency, and what they may receive is a growth engine and a growth lens that was unexpected. So I think it's not all about efficiency. It really is about turning the way that you look at AI to think about what is possible and recognizing the capability that allows you to continue to grow your business.
Sounds wonderful, Andy. Now, Southeast Asia is often treated as one market, but the reality is far more complex. How does deploying AI in CX in this region differ from what gets talked about in global conversations?
Yeah, I think we sometimes lump Southeast Asia together as one market, but the reality is, it's tens of countries, dozens of languages, completely different digital infrastructure, regulatory environments, and fundamentally different consumer expectations. One of the mistakes that I see is taking an AI model built for Europe or the US, for example, and deploying it here as if context doesn't matter. And I think the nuance of global conversations is language. And it doesn't solely rely on the language itself, but register. So here in Malaysia, in Bahasa Malay, we speak to someone who is 30 differently than I speak to someone who is my elder. You can see that in Thai, where formal registries carry very specific meaning. AI trained on English alone doesn't necessarily understand that context. And so what you can create is not just a bad customer experience, but potentially a tone deaf cultural experience, which is far more damaging. The other thing I think that we need to take into consideration is digital maturity varies dramatically across the different countries that are part of Southeast Asia. So again, here in Malaysia, we have very high smartphone penetration and a relatively sophisticated digital banking sector. So what does that mean? That means I'm cashless and still connected in most environments across Malaysia. But when I travel to Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, etc., what I recognize is there is a very different customer base and very different channel expectations. So how does that relate to AI? I think the thing that we need to recognize is you can't copy and paste or lift and shift AI. The model has to be trained on regional data, validated by people who understand the cultural context, and governed with an eye on local regulation, which is frankly changing very, very quickly. So the brands that get that right do so by partnering with companies that are already operating here with diversity and scale in the region. And I think in this case, context matters just as much as technology.
Thank you so much, Andy, for that really insightful overview. Now, following on from that, what is the single biggest mistake that you see brands making when they approach AI in CX right now?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I see that is damaging is we think about AI as a cost-cutting optimizational tool, and we don't fully understand AI or implement AI as a true capability. That is the mistake I see most often, and the mistake I see that's most damaging to brands. And I'll give you an example about how that plays out. A brand may deploy automation wherever it can, and they may see handle time reduce or cost to serve reduce. So in that situation, dashboards look green, scorecards look green, and everyone is celebrating. But in the background, CSAT may be damaged, retention may be bleeding, lifetime value of a customer is not taken into consideration because what was automated may have been a moment that mattered. And I want to describe that a little bit more. There are certain times when a customer contacts us and they want resolution, they want a problem solved. And there are other times when a customer contacts us and they want to be heard in addition to resolution and the problem being solved. Those can be two very different things. A chatbot can easily resolve, but a chatbot may not be able to make that customer feel heard. And when you automate the wrong category, you may save money, but you may lose the customer. And I think that's where TP, again, has a slightly different point of view. We think about opportunity AI from the point of view of not only what can we automate, what should we automate, and in some cases, what shouldn't we automate? So think about a canceled flight, a billing dispute after bereavement, a customer who's already written 3 emails and is so frustrated that they're now picking up the phone to call. Those are moments when loyalty is decided. You get them wrong, and no amount of efficiency is going to save you. So more automation is not a strategy. In some cases, more is simply more. I think the brands that are winning are focused on what deliberately they should automate, what they should remain human. And frankly, I think the discipline to discern those two is much harder than people think.
Certainly. And finally, Malaysia and Southeast Asia have long been the delivery engine for global CX. As AI takes on more of that work, does that strengthen or threaten this region's position? And what does TP's experience tell you?
Yeah, there is both real risk and real opportunity. I think if companies, geos make the right move, there is going to be an opportunity to strengthen our position. And if we don't, then there's going to be consequences. So if we think about maybe Southeast Asia historically, one of the value propositions has been cost or labor arbitrage, as well as language coverage. And if you think about AI handling English volumes, for example, at a high rate, 30, 40, 50, 60% of the volume, you can think about that from a cost point of view and realize that there is going to be significant savings. So there is real pressure. And those companies that don't adapt, or geos that don't adapt to our new environments, are going to be left behind because of that. But at the same time, there's components that AI simply cannot replicate today. And one of those is, when you have native speakers with genuine empathy, cultural understanding, and nuance, they're going to be able to handle high pressure, highly complex situations in Cantonese, Thai, Tamil, etc., far better than any tool. And it's that kind of nuance that retains a customer and takes those moments that matter and truly delivers the right experience. And I think what we're seeing from a TP point of view are not companies pulling out CX from the region. I think what they're doing, though, is evaluating from a different perspective, what is it that fits best in region? So I think what they're asking is, what should be AI driven? What should be a hybrid? And which should remain with people so that people have complete ownership? And I think that's a more sophisticated conversation. And it's one that this region is well positioned to win. Because when you think about it, we have the data, we have the language capability, and we have the operational maturity to combine those together. So I don't think outsourcing will disappear. I think what we need to do is continue to move up the value chain. And when you think about 2027 and beyond, BPOs may be smaller in headcounts, but significantly higher in capability. Adoption rates, agility, et cetera, are going to be, I think, much more comprehensive and different than they are today. The brands, operators, and geos that understand that shift are those that are going to lead APAC in the future and the CX experience for the future.
Thank you, Andy. As always, it's been a pleasure to have you join us today. We look forward to meeting you at the Customer Experience Live show in Malaysia shortly. Until then, stay safe.
Thank you. Appreciate all of the time, and it's wonderful to see you and be able to share a little bit about TP's point of view. So thank you once again.
Thank you.